Okay, let's dive into this powerful idea that kind of challenges everything we've been told about how to achieve our goals. We're talking about a philosophy that completely flips the script on success, suggesting that the way to get more done isn't through grinding and suffering, but through something we all actually want, just feeling good.
So this whole thing kicks off with a story about a junior doctor, a guy named Ali Abdaal. I want you to picture this. It's Christmas Day, and with those pretty chilling words from his boss, he's left totally alone to manage an entire hospital ward. This is his first big test, and it is a complete trial by fire.
So that brings us to our first section, the productivity trap, or the problem with just working harder. Right away, Ali is just thrown into one emergency after another, each one pushing him to his absolute limit. And this isn't just, a busy shift. We're talking a relentless storm of life or death situations, one after the other, with absolutely no backup.
I mean, the whole ward was just pure chaos. You've got an avalanche of paperwork piling up, a massive cardiac arrest, let's just say, a very unpleasant medical procedure, and to top it all off, a drunk guy wandering the halls screaming for someone named Olive. Literally every single minute brought a new, urgent crisis that needed his attention right now.
Now, all through medical school, his one and only strategy was simple. Just work harder, right? Discipline was the only system he knew, and it had always worked for him before. But now, faced with this overwhelming reality, that one trusted method was completely and totally falling apart.
And here's what's really important about this. That work harder approach wasn't just failing him, it was actively destroying him. He felt like he was drowning, his mood just tanked, and his job he had trained for years was making him completely depressed. He was losing sleep, friends, family, everything that mattered outside those hospital walls.
Okay, so Section 2, questioning the diagnosis. A new path to success. The breaking point, the real rock bottom, came when he dropped a tray full of medical supplies. Syringes just scattered everywhere. And in that moment of just total defeat, staring at his scrubs, he knew something had to change. He was forced to rethink his entire approach to, everything.
You see, he had always believed in this suffer now, live later philosophy. It's the kind of thing you hear from icons like Muhammad Ali. It's really the gospel of hustle culture, right? Endure the pain now, and success will be your reward down the line. It was the only way he knew how to operate. But then, a piece of advice from an old tutor came flooding back to him, and this simple medical principle sparked this huge revelation. What if the treatment, working harder, wasn't working because the diagnosis of the problem was just completely wrong?
And this is the question that changes everything. What if this whole idea that success requires suffering is just flawed? What if feeling overwhelmed and trading your happiness for achievement wasn't actually the path to success, but the biggest thing standing in its way?
All right, Section 3, the science of feeling good, proving the connection. This whole line of questioning led him back to some old psychology studies, where he stumbled on research that just completely changed his perspective. And it all starts with a classic experiment involving a candle, some matches, and a box of thumbtacks. This brings us to something called the candle problem. It's a really famous test of creativity. The solution, as you can see, requires you to think outside the box. And I mean that literally. You have to see the thumbtack box not just as a container, but as a potential shelf for the candle. Well, a psychologist named Alice Eisen ran this experiment, but with a little twist. She gave one group a small bag of candy right before they started, just enough to put them in a slightly better mood. And the result? It was incredible. The group that got the candy was way more successful at solving the puzzle. That tiny positive feeling unlocked their creativity. And this is a perfect example of what's called the broaden and build theory. The basic idea is that when we feel good, our minds literally open up. We see more possibilities, we think more creatively, and over time, all those positive emotions actually build up our skills and make us more resilient.
So the science here is crystal clear. Positive emotions aren't just some fluffy, nice-to-have bonus. No, they are essential fuel. Feeling good fundamentally changes how our brains work, making us better problem solvers and way more effective at pretty much everything we do.
So, Section 4, the 3 Energizers, your framework for action. Now, this powerful insight, it's not just a theory. It actually led to a really practical framework for putting all this science into action. It's built on 3 core ideas Ali calls Energizers, which are designed to systematically inject these positive feelings right into your work and your life. Okay, so the 3 Energizers are play, power, and people. Play is all about finding ways to make your tasks fun.
like turning a boring project into a game with its own rules and rewards. Power is about getting a sense of control, maybe by setting your own small, achievable goals for the day. And people is about tapping into the energy we get from connection, like working alongside a friend or just sharing your progress with a team that has your back.
And that brings us to Section 5, Redefining Success, a New Mindset. Using these energizers isn't just about learning a few new tricks. It requires a really fundamental shift in how you even think about productivity and how you define success itself. It's like installing a whole new operating system for how you achieve things.
So on one side, you've got hustle culture, which is constantly telling us to grind now for some payoff that might come later. But on the other side, you've got feel-good productivity, and it argues that your well-being isn't the prize you get at the finish line, it's the fuel that gets you there in the first place. And that brings us to what is, without a doubt, the single most important takeaway from this entire philosophy. We have cause and effect completely backward. We chase success, hoping it'll finally make us happy, but the science shows that it's happiness that brings us success.
So, the next time you're facing a mountain of work, or just a task you are dreading, instead of gritting your teeth and just pushing through, I want you to pause and ask yourself this one simple but totally transformative question. Seriously, the answer might just change everything.